much, or maybe they're recruiting him late. If we can develop a relationship with that guy for a year and really paint a picture for him, like, hey, you're going to play for us, you're going to play for championships, you're going to get a great degree, and then at the end of this, shoot, man, if someone wants to pay you a bunch of money and you got your degree, like, why not go do it? You might turn it down. Lan Larison said, I don't want to do it. I want to stay and play. Keelan Doss wanted to stay and play, and they both are going to have long NFL careers. Or you can go like Teddy did. But I promise you, if you talk to Teddy, when he got done at Cal and he was training for the next few months for the NFL draft, where do you think he was training? He was training here with us, So I think that you look at him, you look at McCallan Castles, who plays for the Chargers, was our tight end, went to Tennessee, or Chuba, that's at Arizona. Jordan Perryman graduated, played corner at Washington. Kavir Baines last year was a great nickel for us, graduated. He's going to play at Pitt for 1 year. To me, all those things are positives for us. And if we can grow a culture where guys stay for 3 or 4 years and help us build a really good team, and that helps us get them to where their goals are, I'm fine being the vehicle that helps them get there, as long as they come here with the right attitude and they respect UC Davis and play their butt off for us. I think I'm fine being that guy.
Tim Plow, UC Davis head coach, joining us here on Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio, or maybe you're tuning in on Skyline Sports, no matter how you're tuning into our Big Sky Spotlight. Appreciate you for being here. When it comes to being out on the recruiting trail and talking to prospects, you guys have had some success, a lot of success over the last several years, but your best success this last year being the top 5 most of the year and making it to the final 8 of the playoffs. So does that resonate? I mean, how much does that help you just getting indoors, or how much can it impact recruiting?
No, I think it's great, obviously. I think the program itself, like I talked to you a year ago, I think we both have talked for a while about just how powerful this place can be. And, from a recruiting standpoint, because of the academics and how great of a school it is, because we have a $50 million facility and a lot of money pumping into the program, moving to the Mountain West down the road, that was announced by our athletic department for our other sports. I think it shows the directions of our program. So I think it's an exciting time. And winning is going to help a lot when it comes to recruiting and donors and getting people excited. So it was a huge first year in that sense of gaining some confidence, gaining some people that really want to help and continue to be a part of our program. And now the most difficult part is, how do you create sustained success, and how do you try to continue to be at the top of a tough conference like the Big Sky year in and year out? Can we be in that top 4 and make a run at this thing? And we know how difficult that is. So I think for us now, it's like, what does sustained success look like in this conference? And how do we build that after we lose a bunch of really good players? Can we come back with new players, grow them, develop them, and year in and year out be a team that people look at and say, hey, every year Davis is going to be a team that can win it, And so I think that's still something we're trying to build, but I think we're in the right direction for sure.
Well, we'll talk about sort of the future and some of the progress you guys made during spring, but I got to ask you about a couple of the guys that got pro shots, specifically Lan Larison. You just mentioned him, but I was thinking, if this was 2008 and he's going to the Patriots, I mean, my gosh, this guy's winning a Super Bowl ring next year. Like, that'd be such a great fit for him. I still think it's a great fit organizationally and just the way that they have always operated. But I think that he also, just because of his skill set, brings a unique talent to the NFL. I think he's got NFL stuff that's going to get him on the field pretty quick. What do you?
Yeah, I think we always kind of had him slotted as like a 5th, 6th, 7th round pick. That was kind of even going into the season where people thought he was going to be. And he kind of had a unique draft story. So it's getting late in the draft, and we had talked to a couple teams leading up to the draft that were really interested. The Patriots were one of them. It got to about the 6th round there on the 3rd day. And he called me, and I thought he was calling me to tell me he was drafted, but he was calling me to tell me, hey, I've basically agreed to sign with the Patriots. And I said, well, hey, you can still get drafted. And he's like, yeah, if I get drafted, I get drafted. But if I don't, I'm going to go to the Patriots. They basically offered him the max free agent money. And they were pretty relentless at their pursuit at him the last week. I think they felt like they could draft the kid from Ohio State late. And they felt like teams were going to, maybe not swing at Lan, and they could get away with not having to draft him. And they were smart that way. So they kind of scooped him up even before the draft was over. He was pretty much signed and sealed with the Patriots. And I think it's a perfect fit for him because a lot of respect for Vrabel and the type of leader and coach he is. And obviously his relationship with the Patriot way and how that works. Josh McDaniels is a guy that I've really looked at for a long time. And from an offensive standpoint, think he's as bright as anyone. And but if you look at historically, the Kevin Falks, the Rex Burkheads, the Danny Woodheads, these guys all look like Lan Larison guys, right? Like guys that can catch the ball out of the backfield, that play on special teams, that can pass protect, that can get you, yards in the run game, can line up at wide receiver. So I think for that system in the McDaniels Patriots system, I think Lan fits really well. And a lot of the stuff we do here carries over easily for him. So he's had a lot of success already early on in the mini camps. And I know he's really excited. But the great thing about Lan is his humility. And he knows, like, hey, for me to make the team and to play in the NFL, he's going to have to be a special teams guy. And I think he's the type of guy that can play on all 4 special teams units and be a leader there. I mean, the guy led our team in tackles on the punt team, and he was one of the best players in the country. And he would kill me if I tried to take him off the punt team every week. So I think he's going to have a long career in the NFL. And I don't think he could have landed at a better place. I think Teddy Buchanan, same thing. I think the Ravens is a perfect fit for Teddy and the type of linebacker he is. I got to spend some time with John Harbaugh last summer and have a lot of respect for that organization. So really fired up for both guys. I think they landed in perfect places that are going to use their skill set well, and they're going to grow them well. And I think they're both going to have a lot of success.
Yeah, I was stoked for a lot of the Big Sky guys because I feel like a lot of them got good fits. I think Tommy Mellott in Chip Kelly's offense is a really
great
good fit.
Yeah.
Raiders, right? I think Junior Bergen in San Francisco with the
great fit.
He's got guys on that staff that know him. They want to use him how he's supposed to. So I think that's really cool. Tim Plow, UC Davis joined us. So then trying to replace a guy like Lan Larison, how do you start? How do you finish? How do you go about something like that?
Yeah, I think the important thing is, like, you're not going to replace Lan Larison, just like you're not going to replace Keelan Doss. Like you're not going to replace Tommy Mellott. Like those guys, you don't replace them. What you try to do is you try to create new great players, right? You try to grow new players and have them be the first version of them, right? So it's like I feel really one thing that was great about our spring is, man, our running back group is really deep. Jordan Fisher is a guy that played a little bit at the end of last season, had some great moments in the season. If you remember the Montana game, he got a good run there at the end of the game and had a good playoff run there for a couple of weeks. So really excited about Jordan Fisher. Really excited about Mateo Perez, who was a running back that played a lot for us last year. And then we got a young guy named Carter Vargas, who I think has a chance to be a star in the Big Sky as a redshirt freshman. So I think all 3 of those guys have a chance to be really talented backs for us. You're not going to replace Lan Larison, but I hope that maybe – you guys see the first Jordan Fisher or the first Carter Vargas, and you're like, man, this is another great player that Davis has developed, and now they're going to do it in their way. And I think they're really talented, so I'm excited for them this year for sure.
And obviously, a big story for Davis is the replacement of Miles Hastings, who's been such a stalwart at quarterback for you. He's also getting a pro opportunity going up north to play in the CFL, which I also think is a great opportunity for him. Maybe even hooking up with Keelan White from Montana. So both those guys going to Ottawa. That's pretty cool. But how do you go about that? I guess, first of all, what sort of clarity did spring ball give you just in terms of where you're at right now at quarterback?
Yeah, I think luckily, you get to that situation. We felt like going into camp, we had 2 guys that we really liked that could play for us. And the fear is like by the end of spring, are you going to be like, man, we got nobody that can play? But the truth is, I think we have 2 guys that can play, and they're both a little bit different. Grant Harper's a 6th-year senior for us, who's going to be in grad school. So similar to Miles, a guy that's been here a long time, knows the offense really well. Real accurate passer, probably a little bit more athletic than Miles. And he got a chance to play a little bit last year sometimes in some mop-up duty. Excited about him. And then Caden Pinnock is our redshirt freshman quarterback, local kid from Del Oro High School out here, also plays on the baseball team. He's a dynamic athlete, a guy that can really create, probably something we haven't had here in a long time. Reminds me of the Eric Barrier, Vernon Adams, Dakota Prukop type of guys. I know those are fantastic names. I'm not saying he's anywhere near those guys right now, but he's that mold, a guy that can run, can create off-schedule plays. And I thought he had a good camp too. So right now, I think it's really either going with the older guy in Grant or going with the younger guy in Caden. Feel like we're going to probably know early on in fall camp, which way we're going to go with that. But feel really good that we can win with either guy. And I feel like we're bringing in some really talented young guys as well in the quarterback room. So I don't think we'll ever have a problem with great quarterback play at Davis, just our history and the type of recruits we can get at that position. I know we'll be able to play good football there.
When it comes to evaluating, when you have a quarterback battle going on, there's so many different things that go into it, right? Like understanding of the system and the offense, efficiency, leadership. How do you sort of weigh each factor when you're determining who's going to be the guy moving forward?
The main things for me have always been the same. It's can you avoid negative plays, whether it be a sack or a turnover? Can you avoid negative plays? Can you get the ball out on time? And be efficient that way. We pride ourselves at quarterback here at Davis that the ball is going to get out early. We're going to be accurate. So can you make decisions? And then how do you play at crunch time? When on third down, fourth down, fourth quarter, are you a guy that, in the moment can make great decisions? And, I've always kind of looked at the position that way. And I feel like, like I said, I think we have two guys that do a really good job in all three of those areas. And I think we got some young guys that are still coming along in those spots too. So I've always looked at it the same way, like from a leadership standpoint, that has to be something you look at when you recruit. Do they have that makeup? Do they have that mindset that they're going to be a leader of men? Because you're not going to be able to really develop that. I mean, they either have that or they don't. And that's something you got to solve when you're recruiting young men. And I think the other parts of it is, okay, how do they process? Can they be accurate? Can they make good decisions? And that's how you can weed out guys. But I've always looked at the quarterback room like I want to put a bunch of lions in a cave. I want them to eat each other. And then the guy that comes out alive is probably going to be the toughest SOB in the conference, so make that really competitive. And whoever emerges from that room should be a good player.
Tim Plow, UC Davis, joining us here on Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio. All right, last thing for you then. How do you hope this team's sort of identity and also personality evolves between now and when you sort of hit the ground running in August? I mean, I guess how do you sort of get so much of it's not on the coaches at this point, right? Because you have not so much less contact in the summer. So what do you hope these guys do during the summer, and how do you hope that sort of influences the team that they will be come fall?
Yeah, I think the one thing we've talked about as a staff is that the team we had a year ago was a highly veteran team. Guys that had played together for a number of years, and they had been to the playoffs before, and they had failed, or they had barely missed the playoffs, so they had lost some games they shouldn't have lost. And so their motivation and their mindset of work, of what it was going to take to actually get over the hump and play the type of football that could get you in the top five, they really had that thought process from January all the way to August. And, now with this team, our focus has been, hey, are they going to look at what the team last year did and say, hey, that was easy, no big deal? Or are they going to realize like, hey, that took a lot of hard work and all this stuff that, the coaches don't see in the player run practices and the work they're putting on their own? Are they willing to go to the same lengths and even beyond that of last year's team? And so our message as a staff has really been to push our guys to say, like, we aren't the 2024 team. You're going to have to do as much as they did, if not even more, to sustain this and get it to the same spot. And if we want to get past the final eight, what that looks like. And so it's been pushing and motivating them to understand what that's going to take and how difficult that's going to be. And I hope that they are aware of that challenge and that they're open to it and they are hungry for it. And I think we got a bunch of guys that feel that. I feel really confident about them. But it's going to be them coming together, like you said, the next couple months. And so I'm excited to get back with them at the end of June and then work through that July before we start camp and see where we're at. Cause we don't have any easy ones in the beginning. We start right off the bat with Mercer and we know how good they are. So it's going to take everything we have to get off to a good start, but it'll be a fun next couple months.
Well, Coach, good luck with it. I'm sure we'll catch up down the road here, but thanks so much for taking some time today.
Man, love coming on this with you. Big Sky football every day, all day, anytime, man. Let's talk some ball. I appreciate it.
Tim Plow, well, the best. Love talking ball with that guy. UC Davis's non-conference, Mercer at Davis. That's a good game to get in Davis, but Mercer was a seeded playoff team a year ago. So that's basically the 5 seed versus the 7 seed from last year's playoffs to kick things off. That's pretty sweet. Then you got UC Davis at Utah Tech in St. George, UC Davis at Washington, and then Southern Utah at UC Davis. So Davis will be favored against Utah Tech and Southern Utah, probably. I'd say even money against Mercer, and certainly huge underdogs against Washington. That's a tough non-conference. Davis also has, of course, Sac State, their rival, on the schedule. They also have Montana State on the schedule. They do not have Montana or Idaho on the schedule. So it'd be interesting to see how it all plays out. Our Big Sky Spotlight, probably presented by Copperstone Storehall for the best storage in Montana. Visit copperstonestorage.com. We're going to flip things around because our in-house guys, the hockey guys, they're just here. So they're going to be on with us here in just a little while. But instead, we'll go some golf. Joey Esch, a local golf pro. We're going to talk golf on a local level, golf on a statewide level, and golf on a major championship level. All next. So JJ Daki right here, 102.9 ESPN Radio.
Schwab changed the tire game more than 70 years ago. Today, we still believe you should get more from less. Like more hustle, less hassle. More of the best service around, less of the runaround. Because we include America's best tire warranty in every tire we sell. So you get more unbeatable warranty, less charging you extra. It's why we're more than proud to say, you get more from less.
At Shields, we're anglers, endlessly seeking and refining techniques. We're hunters and storytellers, because we've been out there. We're experts that put products and gear to the test, so we can share that knowledge with you. At Shields, we understand your outdoor journey and the path you're on, because we walk it too, every step of the way. Shields, right there with you.
Family to the Stone of Accord for a wonderful brunch. From traditional comfort food to eclectic specials, there's something for everyone to enjoy. And it wouldn't be a proper Missoula brunch without an Irish coffee and a mimosa. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair. Restaurant, liquor store, and casino. At the Stone of Accord, we use the freshest ingredients to create our homemade traditional Irish classics, fresh salads, and creative specials. Come enjoy our warm, family-friendly atmosphere. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair. Restaurant, liquor store, and casino.
For 20 years, there's been a sound that's helped define Missoula. A sound as unique as the people who call this place home. The Trail 103.3. We're grateful. We're honored. We remain true to the community and true to the music. Tune in for the celebration. Tune in for the party. Tune in for the next 20 years. We can hardly wait.
I can't wait.
The Trail 103.3.
Hardly wait.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
A bevy of spring state tournaments get started Thursday across Montana. Hello, I'm Andrew Houghton. The third ever all-class state baseball tournament opens Thursday in Hamilton. With Polson and Florence Carlton, the winners of the first two state tournaments, not in the field, there's guaranteed to be a first-time state champion. Belgrade, Billings Skyview, Columbia Falls, and Frenchtown enter as the top seeds from each of the 4 divisions, while hosts Hamilton are looking to break through after placing second a year ago. Class AA softball, which takes place in Great Falls, will have a new champion after last year's winner Helena Capital failed to make the field. Instead, the Bruins' crosstown rival Helena High enters with the best record in the state at 17-2. The Bengals play Bozeman Gallatin in the first round on Thursday, while last year's runner-up Kalispell Glacier plays Billings West, Missoula Sentinel plays Belgrade, and Missoula Big Sky plays Billings Senior. In Class A softball, Columbia Falls is going for a three-peat on its home field. Polson, Laurel, Lewistown, and Frenchtown are the number 1 seeds, and Lewistown enters as the favorite at 19-2 without a loss to a Class A team all season. On the track, the Class AA meet gets started Thursday in Kalispell, while the State BC meet is in Missoula. State BC softball is in Glasgow, while the Class AA tennis tournament is in Bozeman, the Class A is in Billings, and BC is in Missoula.
This ESPN Missoula Sports Center is presented by Canyon River Golf Club. It's Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Missoula. Watch the show statewide on SWX Montana Television.
Well, I played this song because I thought this was going to be our hockey segment. We're flipping some stuff around because these guys are going to talk some hockey in just a little while because our golf aficionado, Joey Esch, in studio with us. Joey has joined us on the show many times over the years. He's done a tremendous job promoting golf in our community, especially among young people, making it more accessible for kids and helping grow the game. But now he's got a new gig, too, out there at Canyon River. So congratulations again. I know you told you in person, but got to tell you on the radio, 2 new pro and general manager out there at Canyon. So congrats, man.
Thanks, Coulter. Enjoying it. Yes, for sure.
Well, tell us about how it all came about, because you've been working in the golf sphere for a long time in a variety of different ways. But our mutual friend, Ed Bazanson, decided he was going to retire.
Yes,
and
I'll tell you, Ed is a legend.
Oh, he's the man. Yeah, he's been the pro out there since, 2000, when it first was created, right?
And Ed is basically built Canyon River.
Right.
The job that he's done in building the golf course from back when it was almost losing money
totally
to where it is now is commendable, and he's your ultimate professional for sure. So
yeah, it's awesome, man. It's I grew up in Missoula, learned to play golf at a variety of different places, but then when Canyon opened, it was easy for us because we were living up Grant Creek, so you could just get on the freeway real quick. So that became sort of like our home course, and that's where I just fell in love with it, and to watch it grow and evolve and stuff, it's been really cool. So, how's it been going out there? The course is in awesome shape. I've got about 5 rounds in out there, and it's awesome, man. You guys are doing a great job.
Yeah, the comments we're getting from people coming from Coeur d'Alene, Spokane, even here in Missoula, have been great. I think last weekend we did 222 rounds.
Holy cow.
On Saturday. So, and of that, everything's been positive. The golf course, the job that Caleb and his staff are doing out there right now, our greens are running smoother than they ever have. They're around 10.5 right now.
Wow.
And getting lots of great comments.
Well,
sure.
No doubt. The superintendent, Caleb, is a stud. And I'm convinced that his dog has the best life in the world.
Oh, boy.
Because he takes his dog to work, and the dog just gets to either sit on the maintenance cart or sniff around the holes, and he's just outside all day. But that dog's living the dream, man.
Well, he is. And then all the pass holders got treats for him.
Yeah,
so,
right.
And he knows exactly who those are, too. Yeah.
No doubt.
Sure.
Joey Esch in studio with us here on Nuanez Now. Tell us about the youth academies, because you're doing a lot of stuff to grow the game, and that's how we first got to know each other. That even despite your new job, you're still doing a lot of this stuff.
Yes,
so
we
tell
sure are.
Tell us about that.
A great staff, and Cody and Amanda, that are taking some of that over. But we run the Operation 36 program, and it's a nationwide program. The last 4 years, we've been recognized as a top 50 program in the world, and it's been great. And the difference with Operation 36, Coulter, is it's geared towards kids, but also ladies.
Right.
So last summer, we had 77 students in our summer session, and like 52 of those were ladies. So the key to the program is being able to introduce golf in more of a relaxed atmosphere. Everyone gets an app on their phone. So this week we're covering power. The ladies and the kids will watch the power video before class. Amanda and I will dial in their power get them playing right and get them doing the right things. And for all of us, the better we play, the more we want to get out there and play.
No doubt. It's been phenomenal to watch the growth of the women's game, especially here in the state of Montana. Your daughter, Kylie Ash, played for the Grizz golf team. They seem like they're making some progress. Montana State, though, was red hot this year, and they had multiple girls that were, tournament champions, and then Maddie Montoya ended up winning the entire Big Sky Conference championship. So it was funny. I was interviewing Lauren Greeny, who's the stud there at Montana State, who won 3 tournaments this year, and she was telling me, like, some of her distances and stuff. I'm like, well, you're not allowed to play with us. I mean, she's hitting like 300 off the tee. I'm like, no way.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, today I put away my driver. I hit my 3-wood because I hit it about 285 off the tee. I'm like, come on. You're killing us out here.
Yeah.
But it's cool to see the growth in the women's game, too.
It is cool to see the growth. And the Bobcats are doing great. Joey Lovell, their assistant
former
coach,
state AM champion.
State AM champion at Canyon River. But I've known Joey since he was a kid.
Oh, yeah.
He played college golf at LC State College.
Right, when you were in Lewiston,
when I was in Lewiston, and his roommate was my assistant pro.
Oh, nice.
Jeff Ray. So known Joey for a while, and they're doing a heck of a job there recruiting players and getting them in there. Yeah,
yeah, it's pretty fun to see. What else is going on, Ken? You got a 2-man scramble coming up here.
We got a 2-man scramble kicking off next Sunday. It is one of our premier events out there. $125 a player, includes your green fee, a meal, and a tea prize.
Nice.
And right now, I think we got room for about 10, 12 more teams.
Nice.
So if you're interested in that, give us a holler out there right away at the golf shop, and we'll save you a spot. The other thing that's exciting for us this summer is we got 2 major events coming to Canyon River. First, we got the ladies state amateur,
which is super fun.
Yeah.
I can't wait to cover this. There's a lot of really good golfers right now in Montana on the women's side.
Yeah, we're going to get 70, 80 of the best female players in the state. And then in September, we're hosting the Pacific Northwest PGA Section Championship.
Nice.
That includes all of Oregon, Washington, Northern Idaho, and Western Montana. So a lot of great players are going to be in that. Yeah.
Very good. Is your daughter playing in the state am this year?
Our daughter Kylie's now, she has to play in the Wisconsin state.
Oh, right, because she moved. That's right.
Yeah, she's just finished up got her master's in nursing.
Nice.
At
good
Marquette University, and is looking to move back here to Missoula soon, thankfully.
Well, that's great. She's been in the mix and won a state am before, right?
Yes, yep, won it at Meadowlark 2 years ago.
Yeah, so maybe an opening for others, but that would have been fun to see her play at your home course.
Yeah, it'll be fun to see her name on the trophy for the first time.
Yeah, no doubt, right? No question. Joey Esch in studio with us. Okay, we were talking about this off there, but I got to ask you about it on the air. So, Scotty Scheffler gives his press conference after this PGA Championship win, and they're asking him about some stuff, and he's like, yeah, well, I still play, casual golf with my buddies like everybody else out there, and we have our games and we play Wolf and we play Skins and all this stuff. And he said, so one of the reporters says, but Scotty, you won 18 PGA Tour events and you're a 3-time major champion. Like, how do you equate that when you're just playing with Joe Schmo over here? He goes, well, a couple guys in my group are like 10, 12 handicaps. And the reporter says, how many strokes do you give them? He says, sometimes I'll give him 20 to 22 strokes in an 18-hole round, which is crazy. So we were having this debate of if we played Scotty Scheffler at our home course, what do we have to shoot to beat him? So I'm sitting here thinking, okay, I'm a 10. So Scotty's a +8. He's got to give me a stroke a hole. Can I beat him? And I'm sitting here thinking, man, I'm going to have to play so good to try to beat this guy, right? I mean, what do you think he's shooting at Canyon? He's probably shooting low 60s, right?
It depends on if the wind's blowing.
Oh, the wind, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, see, that was
hadn't played those Canyon winds
That was the other caveat was, does he get a practice round or not? If it's just cold out there, then a huge advantage for guys with the home course, right?
Yeah, a lot of those putts that they think are breaking left that break towards the river, some of that home course advantage. But, Scheffler, as good as he hits it, as good as he putts it, we have 5 par 5s.
Right.
And we got a couple of drivable par 4s.
Right.
So that, you look at that right there, it's almost 7 under.
Right.
So right there.
But like you said, though, you never know when you get up on hole 13 and the wind tunnel's 30 miles per hour in your face and you think you smashed a 300-yard drive and it's up there about 220 because it gets knocked down.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Yeah, the candid conditions can certainly get to you. What do you think of just the run he's on, though? It's pretty impressive.
I think it's great. I think it's great for golf to see how he's handling it, getting up there with his wife and kids and and kid.
Yeah.
I think it's great. But one thing about Scheffler that is interesting is, golf is all about the fundamentals. And I don't know if people realize Scheffler practices with the 6-iron that has the grip on it.
Yeah.
Well, he's been practicing with that for a couple of years. Well, Gary Woodland, a good friend of his, just got one from him a couple months ago, and he had Scheffler put it on his club himself.
Interesting.
And a couple weeks later, Woodland, I think, was a runner-up in an event or somewhere in the top 5. So, but you take a look at Scheffler's routine.
Totally.
And every time he picks up that golf club, he's putting it up in front of his face. He's getting his hands on there right. Then he's coming down to the golf ball. So you watch him and the routine that he's using. And, hey, if the number 1 player in the world's using it, I think we all should be using it.
Totally. Go see Joey if you need some help with this, because he gave me a Scotty Scheffler grip lesson just in the clubhouse, and I shot my lowest round by 8 strokes the next time out. So it definitely helps. But it's true, like the way he just sort of does the methodical, perfect grip, looks at it. Because everybody talks about his feet, saying that he's not fundamental, but you look at the whole rest of the operation, and it's about as textbook as it gets.
The way he's got his hands on the golf club, and he's running it through that left hand horizontally, and or vertically, not horizontally.
Vertically, exactly, right.
That's key. That's key for power. But he's just a good guy too.
Totally.
He's good for golf.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's funny because he's like the opposite of some of these other guys too, right? Like I think he has a lot of fans because he's so good, but he's also like not the roller coaster that Rory is, or I mean, Joel Damon well. He's kind of all over the place. He's like an everyman. He's like a better version of everyman, but he's like an everyman.
Joel's a good kid. Being able to be around him and watch him grow up. At Lewiston Country Club. His caddy, Gino Benelli, worked for me for a couple years at Lewiston, and Joel's just a great kid. Getting back to Scotty Scheffler, he played basketball in high school, and he was their defensive stopper. Yeah, so imagine that, a PGA Tour player who played basketball that was a defensive stopper. I don't think Craig Stadler was a defensive stopper. No.
John Daly's not stopping.
That just kind of shows you now how many more better athletes that we're getting into golf.
Well, that's like the thing that's changed the most about the tour, right? Is the guys are just tremendous athletes.
Well, you didn't see that. I know when I was growing up back in the 80s, I played basketball and golf, and there wasn't a whole lot that played golf. They were doing track.
Well, now,
you're seeing a lot of good athletes play golf, and that's why you're seeing, the change on the tour players. But they all have trainers. They all have, they're getting into a lot of yoga, a lot of different flexibility things, and they all have mental coaches.
Yes, right.
The sports psychologist, and Joel Damon, I had heard, is just started working with one. But that's what you need as far as to make that difference there mentally. Yeah.
We'll go see these guys out of Canada River. The course is playing awesome. That 2-man scramble coming up the weekend after next. And you can go register at CanadaRiverGolfClub.com or give them a call, 406-721-0222. That's 721-0222. But Canada River Golf Club, the best way to get all the information and to book your tee times as well. Joey Esch, the new general manager and pro out there at Canyon, joining us here on Nuanez Now. Thanks for coming by, buddy.
All right, Coulter. Thank you.
We'll talk some Stanley Cup playoffs on the other side. Don't change that dial. Keep it right here. It's ESPN Radio.
Les Schwab changed the tire game more than 70 years ago. Today, we still believe you should get more from less. Like more hustle, less hassle. More of the best service around, less of the runaround. Because we include America's best tire warranty in every tire we sell. So you get more unbeatable warranty, less charging you extra. It's why we're more than proud to say, you get more from less.
For 20 years, there's been a sound that's helped define Missoula. A sound as unique as the people who call this place home. The Trail 1033. We're grateful. We're honored. We remain true to the community and true to the music. Tune in for the celebration. Tune in for the party. Tune in for the next 20 years. We can hardly wait.
I can't wait.
The Trail 1033.
Nuanez Now.
This is Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Radio Missoula.
Well, if this were Around the Horn, R.I.P., both those guys in studio would be facing demerits. What's up, everybody? Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. If you remember, all the way back at the beginning of the Stanley Cup playoffs, we asked our hockey experts, Jeff Safford and Hayden Smith, who they thought was going to take the cup. Jeff said the Washington Capitals. I believe Hayden said the Toronto Maple Leafs were in the Final Four. Neither of those two teams are left. But we're going to keep talking conference finals for the NHL playoffs here on 102.9 ESPN Radio. In the East, Florida Panthers, the Carolina Hurricanes. So a Southeast Sun Belt Eastern Conference final. And in the Western Conference, the Edmonton Oilers still carrying the flag for our great neighbors in Canada. They're facing off against the Dallas Stars. Game one of that series coming up tonight in about an hour. What's up, guys? How's it going? Thanks for being back in.
Yeah, sure thing. Shirley wearing a couple of hats today. Thinking about the Missoula Paddleheads getting their season started over in Billings. Looking forward to getting back into the booth next week when their team is home against the Glacier Range Riders. Also happy to be talking some hockey, as we've been able to do here all spring.
Well, actually, Jeff, we don't have a ton of time to talk hockey here, but why don't you give us a quick updates on the Paddlehead season opener last night?
6-3 loss to the Billings Mustangs on opening night. They've struggled the last few years on opening night. That's their third opening night loss in a row. Give credit to their starter, Shane Spencer, out there in the Magic City. Had a great outing, 5+ innings, just one run allowed. So opening night, always tough to start on the road. Also thinking about a intense spring camp. So I expect them to come back in game two and have a strong night tonight.
Paddleheads will be in Billings all week, and you can hear their home opener on every home Missoula Paddleheads game this season. With Jeff on the call, home opener next Tuesday, the 27th, against the Glacier Range Riders. That's not what we're here for, though. We're here for hockey. And just 4 teams left, but 3 of these teams were in the conference finals a year ago. Of course, Dallas and Edmonton with a rematch in the West, and the Florida Panthers are back in it in the East. Hayden, we'll just start there for you. Does that mean anything that we got 3 of the 4 teams that came through and are back in the conference finals?
Well, I mean, there's no doubt that those are some great hockey teams. The Florida Panthers are on an absolute tear right now. They're looking fantastic. Obviously handled the Carolina Hurricanes yesterday, and honestly a game that I thought was a little bit closer. If the Carolina would stayed out of the box a bit more, I think they'd have had a better chance. And then on the other side, I mean, you got Edmonton and Dallas, and man, that's going to be a battle. I have no idea who's going to win that series. Honestly, 2 completely different teams. Edmonton, I'm still not sold on the goaltending. I know he just had 2 shutouts with Skinner, but to be seen how they can hold up against a team like the Dallas Stars, which is not the team they just played. I mean, you got Mikko Rantanen firing on all cylinders right now. You got Wyatt Johnston, a bunch of depth guys that are looking good right now. So that's going to be a great series. But yeah, I mean, just 4 great hockey teams. It's hard to go back-to-backs like that. You've been seeing it with these Florida teams the last couple of years, but that's really not what you see in the NHL very often. So definitely a testament to how good these teams are and how good they've been.
All of our Stanley Cup playoffs coverage this spring and summer brought to you by Sportsbet Montana. They're also sponsoring our NBA playoffs coverage. We'll talk a little NBA with Colter Nuanez in hour 2, as well as our coverage of the major golf championships. Big shout out to Sportsbet Montana. All right, we're going to look ahead to both of these series, but before we do that, we got to talk about the only Game 7 from the second round, and it was humiliation for the Toronto Maple Leafs, losing to the Florida Panthers 6-1 in Game 7 to lose that series. Jeff, what happened in that Game 7? What happened to Toronto? It was they lost 2 of the last 3 games of that series 6-1. I believe both on their home ice.
Yep.
Just put the nail in the coffin for the Toronto Maple Leafs this season.
Man, well, I mean, it's just kind of more of the same of what we've seen from this kind of core group that's been around the franchise the last couple of years, thinking about John Tavares, Austin Matthews, amongst others, where they get to this moment in time and postseason runs and things seemingly just all fall apart for them. And obviously, as Hayden alluded to, Florida is also playing outstanding right now. And really, it's kind of a tale of 2 things, with Toronto kind of folding in the postseason, a trend that continues from years past, and the Florida Panthers really finding their footing. I mean, really got things off, I felt, to a great start against Carolina. They go on the road into a barn that nobody really had any success in, and they score twice on the power play, something that the Hurricanes had been very good at, penalty killing all season long. So if you're the Panthers, you have to feel absolutely ecstatic how things are going right now, and they have to have a ton of confidence in that locker room.
Carolina Hurricanes favorites in Game 2, -130 favorites here. I'm looking at ESPN bet, might be a little different on Sportsbet Montana. That Game 2 tomorrow, 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Hayden, final word on the Toronto Maple Leafs from you. This is a team going into an offseason now with a lot of turmoil. Is Mitch Marner going to be back? Is Tavares going to be back? Quickly, from you, what do you think are the next moves for that team?
You know, it's tough to say. For me, I think Matthew Knies has to be the priority. One of the up-and-coming power forwards in the league. I thought he was fantastic in this series. Yeah, I mean, they have a lot of questions. I mean, that core four is going to blow up. I think it's time. They've been there for 9 years, and they just have not been able to get it done. I really think that was Mitch Marner's last game, the hometown boy playing for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I think he's going to get a new look next year. I'm not going to speculate too much into what that's going to look like yet, because there's just a lot of things to be seen. I also think John Tavares is gone. I know it's kind of crazy to say, obviously being a long-term captain, also a hometown guy, but I think it's time to give these fans and these players a new look. And I think Toronto I think they're ready, and I think the fans are very ready.
So you would say that the Toronto Maple Leafs probably need to turn over a new leaf in the offseason?
Yeah, I think they need to do a lot more than that. That is for sure. It's time for a culture shock in there. I think they need some new leaders in that locker room. I don't know if they're going to go with a new coach. I don't know, in terms of if they lost that locker room, but losing 2 home games by 5 to end a series is just gutting, especially, and it's the most classic Leafs thing in the world you can do. You win Game 6 in a shutout in Florida. You give your fans hope, and then you just look like the Dallas Cowboys when they need it the most, just crumpling. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting what that offseason looks like, and I think we're going to see a lot of changes there.
Well, we talked a little bit about the East here. Let's shift focus to that West series, which opens up tonight. Dallas Stars are at home. They're minus 135 favorites in Game 1 tonight. Hayden, I want to come back to you because you said these are really different teams. Explain a little bit more what you mean about that, and then we'll come back to Jeff for his thoughts on this series.
I just think that the way that they approach the game is different. Offensively, I think they're very similar in the sense that they're very much like a puck possession style of offense where they just, you see McDavid and Rantanen, they're just wheeling it around. I think defensively and the goaltending is going to be very different. I think a guy like Miro Heiskanen coming back is going to be huge for them, a guy that can eat 28 minutes. Very much a defensive defenseman as opposed to a guy like Evan Bouchard who... He's kind of a whirlwind out there. He makes big mistakes, but he also has huge goals. He's got one of the biggest slap shots in the league from the point. I think the defense is going to be the difference, and I think the goaltending is going to be a difference. If Jake Ottinger can play the way that he just did against Winnipeg, I think Dallas is going to have a big advantage. I also just think Dallas is chomping at the bit. I mean, they lost to Edmonton last year in a pretty tight series, and they kind of got outclassed by those superstars. Now Dallas comes back in here with superstars of their own, and Mikko Rantanen and a few other guys that are playing well right now, and I think they're going to come hard. We're going to have to see how that all plays out tonight. It's going to be a really interesting game. I'm opposed to. I'm going to take the home team every game this series, I think, just because I think that's such an advantage, and the fact that Edmonton doesn't lose in Rogers. But, yeah, I just think defensively they're so different that I think that's going to be the biggest factor here.
Jeff, what do you think about this series? As we've mentioned a couple times, rematch of the Western Conference Finals from last year, and Edmonton won that one. Does that play into it all, this year's go-around?
Oh, it absolutely does. I mean, players that are returning from last year's roster probably have had Edmonton circled on their calendar every time they played them during the regular season, and these guys have a lot of things that carry over. That's one thing about hockey guys, is that they surely have long memories where you'll see players, maybe even a year or two in prior seasons. Maybe they took a check they didn't like, and a game rolls around, and what happens? Boom, they see some sort of retaliation. I'm not assuming that Dallas is going to come out there looking for blood, but they're surely going to be very motivated taking on the same team that knocked them out a season ago. And this has been a franchise that has been really knocking on the door the last number of seasons, thinking about routinely making it to this point of view. And I look at the bench as well, and Coach DeBoer for the Stars. He is a guy that's been around a lot of talented teams over the years that have been right there, especially thinking back to his time with the San Jose Sharks as well, leading that team to a Stanley Cup final, losing to Pittsburgh a number of years ago. So that's, to me, a storyline as well, thinking about how much motivation he'll have to try to get his team back to the top of the mountain. But on the flip side, it's McDavid, it's Draisaitl, it's so much skill, and Rantanen has been one of the most, as Hayden alluded to, one of the leading scorers of the Stanley Cup. So this thing's going to have something for everybody, and I would assume, I'd be surprised if this thing doesn't go 7.
Stanley Cup playoff coverage with Jeff Safford and Hayden Smith. It's brought to you by Sportsbet Montana. All right, guys, we're up against it here, but we'll give you a chance to redeem your predictions from before the playoffs. You got 4 teams left. Hayden first. Real quick, who do you have raising the cup now that we're down to the conference finals?
Well, I'm going to have to ride with the Panthers, man. In my defense for Toronto, I think this would have been a different series if Stolarz didn't go out game one. I think losing your starting goalie and a goalie that played for Florida last year was a very impactful thing. I mean, a guy that knows players' tendencies and, where they like to shoot. But it's hard to root against a team that's been to 2 Stanley Cups in a row. They're absolutely flying. Bobrovsky looks fantastic. You have the addition of Seth Jones and Brad Marchand, both guys that have really stepped up, especially in that last series. I would love to see McDavid and those guys win a cup this year, but I don't see it happening. I think Florida takes it again.
Jeff, for you?
I think behind Jake Ottinger and Mikko Rantanen, 2 guys you've been talking a lot about, Dallas Stars, Dallas Stars, do their little chant they got going on there in the American Airlines Center. But I just think Dallas is going to be able to put it together. This is a team that I'm saying has been knocking at the door. They're going to be hungry, and they're going to just have that little bit of an extra push of momentum. And kind of off the NHL side of things just a bit, but of course myself being the voice of Grizz Hockey as well, want to shout them out. They have an event coming up this weekend, little prospect camp over at the Glacier Ice Rink. So check it out, grizzhockey.com. Want to see some talented skaters over there for Coach Baxter. So again, check out the Grizz Hockey Prospect Camp this weekend over at the Glacier Ice Rink.
Thanks to both those guys, Jeff Safford, Hayden Smith. We'll see if their predictions this go around go any better than last time. We got to get out all of our Stanley Cup playoffs coverage brought to you by Sportsbet Montana. We'll be back right after this ESPN Roundtable. Little Sullivan Award winners Skyly Thompson of Montana, Ben Perrin of Montana State will join us after the break. You're listening to Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio.
Please join us.
Les Schwab changed the tire game more than 70 years ago. Today, we still believe you should get more from less. Like more hustle, less hassle. More of the best service around, less of the runaround. Because we include America's best tire warranty in every tire we sell. So you get more unbeatable warranty, less charging you extra. It's why we're more than proud to say, you get more from less.
For 20 years, there's been a sound that's helped define Missoula. A sound as unique as the people who call this place home. The Trail 1033. We're grateful. We're honored. We remain true to the community and true to the music. Tune in for the celebration. Tune in for the party. Tune in for the next 20 years. We can hardly wait.
I can't wait.
The Trail 1033.
Hardly wait.
ESPN Radio for Western Montana, KKVU HD3 Stevensville, and 102.9 FM on K275BS Missoula.
1, 2, 3.
Nuanez Now on ESPN Radio.
Welcome back. Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio. I know that song is annoying to people at this point because of the Will Ferrell PayPal commercials, but it's still a classic. A little Fleetwood Mac for you. If you missed anything on the show, you can always find it on the Nuanez Now podcast, which is proudly presented by Elevated Tax, elevating you and your business with a modern professional touch. You want to save money on your taxes next year? Schedule a free tax planning consultation at elevatedtax.com. Little Sullivan Awards have been granted, awarded, as it were. This is the Montana AAU chapter choosing their top male and female amateur athletes in the state each year. It's a great honor because, let's be honest, there's no pro athletes in the state of Montana. There's pro athletes from the state of Montana, certainly, but there's none that are actually currently competing in the state of Montana. So if you're the top amateur athlete, you're one of the top athletes, period. The finalists on the female side included Olympic swimmer Catherine Burkhoff of Missoula, Montana University of Montana basketball player Danny Barch, who hails from Helena, Utah volleyball player Allie Olson of Great Falls, and then the winner, Skylie Thompson, who hails from Kalispell. The men's finalists, Tommy Millott of Butte, Junior Bergen, who played at Montana State, obviously. Junior Bergen of Billings, who played at Montana football. And then Weston Timberman of Columbus, who's a rodeo athlete right now in Clarendon, Texas. But the winner is Ben Perrin, a distance runner from Montana State. I would say the winners are certainly well-deserved and great candidates in Skylie Thompson and Ben Perrin. But I'd say those are a little bit of upsets. I would have thought that Catherine Burkhoff would have won the women as a Olympic medalist. And, Tommy Millott or Junior Bergen can't go wrong with the football guys, but obviously Ben Perrin, competed in the U.S. Olympic trials. So a lot of worthy candidates. Sometimes the candidates are really good, but maybe not nearly as prominent. This is as prominent of a list as I can remember. So, as always, ladies first, time for our ESPN Roundtable.
Thompson on Nuanez Now, joining us for the ESPN Roundtable after she was one of two winners of the Little Sullivan Award, very prestigious award given out to the top amateur male and female athletes in the state of Montana. We'll catch up with Ben Perrin, Montana State runner, winner of the men's award, a little bit later here on the ESPN Roundtable. But Skylie Thompson joining me, Andrew Houghton, in studio. University of Montana soccer star, recent graduate of the University of Montana, correct?
Yes.
Well, congratulations on that and on the Little Sullivan Award. Just walk me through the ceremony and getting that award this last weekend.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was a great ceremony. Not all of us were able to make it, but they did a really great job of just kind of highlighting every single nominees, their high school, college career, and then obviously for some people, careers after college in the professional and Olympic field. Overall, it was just such an honor to even be considered for something like that. You look at everybody who was nominated and just the success that they found on, the pitch, the field, on the track, in the swimming pool. And beyond that, just kind of the way they've contributed beyond that to their communities and obviously the work they put into their academics as well. So to be considered for that and to be standing up there with, the other nominees was just an honor in itself.
Definitely, yeah. It was a really great class of nominees this year. And Catherine Burkhoff, also from Missoula, Danny Barch, of course, was up for it. I think. When did you learn that you were going to be one of the finalists?
Yeah, I want to say it was sometime in January. I got an email, and naturally, my dad knew probably 10 minutes later that I was also nominated. So I just got an email and was able to kind of look into it and the history of the Little Sullivan Award, and just really great. The people that put it together, and it goes back years and years, highlighting just the contributions of many athletes throughout Montana history. So it was really cool, and I was pretty excited to see my name on that list. So.
No doubt. Well, what have you been up to since the fall? I mean, that was the last time that a lot of us saw you on the pitch for University of Montana soccer. What have the last couple months been like, just finishing your studies, graduating, and then moving on into the world after college? Yeah, so I actually graduated in December. I graduated a semester early, and not long after that, I actually got ankle surgery. So... pretty abrupt changes for me, leaving the pitch and then also graduating to being on crutches for a few months. So in that time, I've been doing lots of rehab and getting back on my feet. And then along with that, I'm actually going into financial advising here in Missoula. So I'm studying up for the next few months, and then I'll, hopefully pass all those exams and be a certified financial advisor. Oh, that's exciting. Walk me through to the end of last season for University of Montana soccer. Skyly Thompson, if you don't know, great player from Kalispell, came down to the University of Montana and had one of the great careers that we've seen here recently for University of Montana soccer. She was Big Sky Offensive Player of the Year as a junior, and then your senior year, you mentioned it, you were dealing with some injuries through, especially the back half of that senior year. So walk me through that last year on the pitch. Yeah, I mean, I was dealing with some ankle pain in both of my ankles. The one I got surgery on ultimately was the one that caused me the most problems throughout the season. And then later on in the season, I actually had an MCL tear that pulled me out entirely. So obviously heartbreaking, but, you gain some perspective and you understand that that's bound to happen with sports. And, I still had a role in the team, and that was to be on the sidelines and to support my teammates in the best way that I could, and just try to enjoy it to the best of the ability that I could. So it was obviously heartbreaking, but we still ended up winning the regular season, and I'm there for more than soccer. My teammates, my coaches, they're all family to me. So it was okay in the end of things, and still heartbreaking, but things happen for a reason. So. Yeah, how difficult was it to switch your mindset? Because I know from watching you, I mean, you're such a competitor on the field. How difficult was it to sort of turn that off and switch into another role once you went down? And you guys had a lot of injuries last year, so it wasn't just you who was dealing with this. But how difficult was that for you? Yeah, it definitely was really difficult. It's not easy doing something like that because, everyone who's out with an injury, you want to be on the field, you don't want to be sitting on the sidelines. But at the end of the day, it's gaining that perspective, that humility. I try to put my identity in something else other than the sport as well, and taking yourself out of that position to realize that, I have a new role, and that's going to be pouring all my love and all my competitive energy into those around me that are on the field, and, contributing in any way that you can. So it wasn't easy, but, I made the adjustment. It was necessary, and there were also other injured people around me that you could kind of, if you're having a bad day, you can also lean on their shoulder. They get it. And then vice versa. So, yeah. What do you think of just the legacy that you've left there at the University of Montana soccer program, especially over the last couple of years, back-to-back undefeated conference regular seasons? I mean, really one of the top programs in this part of the country is what's been built there, and you were a huge part of that. What do you think now, looking back on what you accomplished there? Gosh, it's crazy. I mean, this is something a lot of people don't know. I came in, and being from Montana, I was so far behind the rest of my class. And, on top of that, you think about all the upperclassmen that are there as well. So I would have never expected for my time here to be the way that it was. Yeah, it's just been a super rewarding experience, not only for myself, but to share that with my teammates and my coaches, my family and my friends. It's anything that I could have dreamed it could have been, and even more than that. And especially my class, we've had 3 rings out of 4 seasons. It's really incredible, and I think that's just a testament to
how hard we work and, the goals we set, but more importantly, just the culture and the values that we uphold and we maintain. So, yeah, even looking back, it doesn't seem real that it's over right now, but super grateful for the time that I had and for the people that surrounded me during it. And, yeah, I know that program is in good hands, too. So they'll still be doing great things.
Skyly Thompson, the Female Little Sullivan Award winner, just announced this last weekend, joining us here in studio on the ESPN Roundtable for Nuanez Now. And Sky, that's the other part I wanted to ask you about your career in general, just being from Montana and going on to accomplish those things at the University of Montana soccer program. Like, what do you think that sort of legacy has left? Because we see that now. I mean, players like Ashlyn Dvorak and Eliza Bentler, Liv Thorne-Thompson from Hellgate's coming into the program next year. Like, do you feel like you've sort of blazed that trail a little bit for kids coming out of Montana now?
Yeah, I mean, like I touched on, it's really hard getting recruited to play Division I soccer out of Montana. The club scene is just a little bit behind, and it's developing, and there's a lot of really cool things happening, but it's still really difficult. So, to be able to not only inspire the next generation of athletes, but, to show them that it's doable and that you can make it happen is, I take a lot of pride in that. And being from Montana and being able to play for the state that I love and that I've grown up in has been just outstanding and amazing. And also being able to share that with other Montana girls, like you mentioned, Ashlyn and Eliza, it's a really cool thing. And I can only hope that I kind of helped that path for people that will start coming up, and just igniting that fire in them as well, that you can make it happen. So I don't like when people doubt us Montana kids, because, I mean, from the Little Sullivan Award banquet in itself, there is so much talent in just a small pool of individuals, but it goes even further beyond that, right? They can only pick 8 people total. So yeah, it's pretty cool, and I've really taken a lot of pride in being able to wear that Montana across my chest for the last 4 years.
What's going to be your favorite memory from the last 4 years? I mean, anything that stands out?
Oh gosh, it's really hard to just pinpoint one of them, and you can the big things come to mind of the wins, the rings, but it goes back to the little moments of hanging out with your teammates in the locker room before a game. Random mishaps that happen on travel trips that you can look back and laugh on. It's just those little moments, and sharing that with the people around you that has really just been such a blessing. And it's weird now. I have to actually go out of my way to hang out with my friends. I don't get to see them every day. I don't get to get on the line with them every day and run. So obviously there is some upside in that, but it's really, really hard, moving on from that and, not getting to share those moments with the people you love every single day.
Skyly Thompson, one of the great players in the last era of University of Montana Grizzlies soccer, from Kalispell, had one of the great years in Grizz soccer history. As a junior, Big Sky offensive MVP, incredible player to watch, and also just won the Little Sullivan Award for this year after her senior year, graduating and moving on. Did you think about continuing soccer after college?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely, on the forefront of my mind throughout my career. And obviously I was focusing on what I was doing at hand, but, I was always really passionate about pursuing a career post-college. And, when it came down to it, I was dealing with lots of injuries. And, I think it was kind of my time to be done. That being said, I obviously am going to miss it a lot. And I can definitely see myself contributing to the sport, whether that be in coaching, volunteering, playing in leagues here in Missoula. So yeah, it was definitely something I was interested in, and it just wasn't meant for me. So,
well, what are you most excited about this next step that you are going into then?
Yeah, I'm really excited to kind of give my full undivided attention to my professional career in the finance industry. It's my whole life you balance athletics and school, and I've always been really passionate about my education, and yeah, so I'm really excited for that next step. And then, I'm also excited to kind of, switch it up a little bit. I've been doing kind of the same workout routines and doing the same thing for, the last 18 years of my life. So just finding new things to get out. And I'm really passionate about hiking and getting the outdoors. And, sometimes that can be put on the back burner when, you got to get in your weights, you got to get in your conditioning, and on top of that, your technical work on the soccer ball. So yeah, just finding out different things that I'm passionate about and different ways to move my body is also super exciting. And then, just being on the other side of it, being able to coach would be awesome, and give back to the soccer community in any way. So.
Well, we're certainly excited to see what you do next. Skyly Thompson, 2025 winner of the Little Sullivan Award that was revealed at a ceremony just this last weekend in Missoula. The men's winner of the award, Ben Perrin, former Montana State runner, will be joining us in just a minute here on Nuanez Now. But Sky, I just wanted to say thanks so much for coming in. It's been a pleasure to have you here and to talk with you and to cover you over your career. And good luck in what's next. But thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's an honor to be here. Go Grizz.
Go Grizz indeed. Hilarious. She's a great girl. Thanks, Andrew, for doing that. And thanks to Skyly Thompson for swinging by. Congratulations on your award. How about the men's side of this great honor? Roundtable presented by Stockman Bank continues. And we check in now with the male winner of the Little Sullivan Award, Ben Perrin. He's a graduate of Montana State University and a former multiple-time Big Sky and regional qualifier for the Bobcat track and field team and cross-country team. Ben, thanks for being here, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Yeah, how are you doing?
Good. First of all, tell us about when you first found out that you were nominated for and then winning this award as one of the top amateur athletes in Montana.
I think I found out about it about a month or so ago, and it was definitely an honor being nominated alongside some amazing athletes, and very, very honored to have won it, and just very thankful for everything. So
kind of cool that both the winners are from Kalispell. Skyly Thompson, the winner, the women's winner. So that's kind of just luck of the draw, I guess, right?
Yeah, it's pretty awesome, and I think it really just speaks to how supportive the whole Flathead Valley is for getting us the votes to win, and that was just really cool to see both of us win. So yeah.
Well, take us through the sort of last 6 months of your collegiate track career. Because I know we talked to you when you were on your way to, I think, either the West Regionals or the Olympic Trials. Can't remember which one, but one of the two we had you on. But you had a huge spring last year with the Bobcat team winning the Big Sky Conference Championship and yourself getting on the podium in both the 5K and the 10K. And then you advanced to the regionals, you advanced to the U.S. Olympic Trials. So just take us through what was it like to be able to compete at such a high level, and how were you able to finish your senior year with such a flurry there at Montana State?
It was really cool. That season was pretty special. Like you're saying, a lot of just had a lot of fun with my teammates. Like really just the level of the team has been raised a lot the last couple of years. And we kind of have new standards of, where we wanted to be, and, going all the way to regionals, and then, not making nationals was tough, but, being able to run at the Olympic trials was a huge honor, and being able to do it with my teammate Rob was really cool too. So last season was just special, and of course winning the conference championship was pretty crazy. So it was, the whole season last year was really just a fun team to be a part of, and like I said, I feel like the team was the reason that all of us were able to reach new levels, just because collectively we all really just decided that we wanted to keep improving. And I think at practice every day, that kind of just, elevated what we were able to do. So
that's a common thread. We've been talking to Bobcat track and field people all week long because of their great performance at this year's Big Sky Outdoor Championships as well. And everybody says that the program has been elevated. What goes into that? Is it just redefining the standards? Does it take, sort of special athletes leading the way? Is it a matter of coaching? What are sort of the factors that go into sort of how the heights that Montana State track and field on both the men's and women's sides have risen to?
I think, yeah, honestly, for us, for at least the distance side, I think it really did start with Duncan having as much success as he did, and us just being able to see that it's possible to reach those levels, go to nationals meets consistently, and compete with the best in the NCAA. So I think that just inspired all of us to know that it's possible, and having him as an example to really just know what it required to get to those levels was kind of, I think, the starting point for it. And now that he was gone last year, we kind of had, we knew what we needed to do, and we kind of just kept doing that. And the more serious the team became about continuing on that kind of journey, I guess, of we always want people going back to nationals, doing well at conference, getting to regionals. So I think just having those standards and having guys on the team that had reached those levels, like Rob and Levi and all those guys. It was just, I think, just overall the motivation of the team just kept improving, and everything else kind of followed. So, yeah.
ESPN Roundtable, probably presented by Stockman Bank, Montana's brand of banking. Ben Perrin, our guest. He is the winner of this year's Little Sullivan Award from the Montana AAU, given to the top male and female amateur athletes in the state. And you mentioned the Big Sky Championship you guys were able to take home, Ben. That was the first one in almost 20 years at Montana State. And it couldn't really have finished in much more thrilling fashion with the 4x400 coming down the wire and Jet Grundy sort of pacing his way and then sprinting his way all the way to the team championship. So take us through your perspective on it. It must have been so cool for you to watch that race and gratifying for you guys as seniors to take home the outdoor championship for the first time in so long.
Yeah, that whole weekend was crazy. It was, it really did feel like something out of a movie, honestly. Like, we all kind of talked about potentially being able to win that year, and it just being on our home track was kind of almost felt like a sign that it could, everything was meant to happen this year. So yeah, when all that kind of came down to the end and the 5K ended and Matt and I had a good race, and we knew the points were we knew it was going to be close. But we knew it would still take a lot for, I think we had to win and they had to get 6 or something. And I think that exactly happened. And then everybody on the team, both the guys and girls teams, just ran onto the track and stormed it. And everybody was just celebrating together. And it was just a really, really awesome experience. And great way to end the season. So
much of a key has been able to compete too with Northern Arizona in the distance races, because when conference rolls around for years, it was always like, all right, Montana State, they might be in the mix, but then you'd see this just avalanche of points, right? NAU would go get 6 of the top 8 spots or whatever and score like 30, 40 points in these distance races. But that wasn't the case last year, and it seems like that's been a key for the Bobcat men especially, is to be able to break in there, led by yourself in the 5K and the 10K. So what sort of mentality did that take to sort of disrupt the dominance of Northern Arizona in some of the distance races?
Yeah, just NAU is definitely, they can be intimidating to go up against. Like in the distance events, they just have so many guys that, have consistent performances and are always good. But we kind of just have gotten to the point where we view ourselves as being on the same level as them. And and I think that has really just helped us go into races being more relaxed and knowing that we're going to compete with them, and just know that it's not. Yeah, it's just another race, really. So we're, I think that's kind of how it started, and just also seeing the guys go before you in a steeple or whatever it is, and seeing them compete, and you're training alongside them every day. You know that you can do what they're doing, and that just, I think, rolls over and gives everybody else confidence as well. So yeah.
Well, what are you doing to fill the void now? Are you still running competitively?
I'm not. No, I'm kind of trying to decide what I want to do. So after right after the cross season, I did a Houston half marathon in January. So that was my first, like I was saying, first road race, and that was really cool. And but since then I've kind of just been taking a break, and I might do the Missoula half marathon next month. But yeah, kind of just trying to figure out if I want to keep running competitively or not. So yeah.
Do you miss the competition part of it?
I do. Yeah, it's tough. It is tough to step away from that, and it's just, and really just the team environment of it is what I miss the most. Just running with those guys every day. So it's taking a little getting used to, but I'm still around those guys. I still live with a couple teammates, so that's been made it easier. And but yeah, we'll see. Maybe eventually get back into it. So.
Well, give people the life update. Sounds like you got a pretty cool job, and you got a chance to stay in Bozeman, which is always a good deal for anybody that wants to do so. So what are you up to, and how's it been going since you graduated?
Yeah, it's been good. I've like you said, I'm working for the campus as a GIS technician, and it's a temporary job, so I'm actually done in a few weeks. But then after that, I think I'm going to take a couple months off, take the summer off, and just relax and have fun. Yeah, maybe get back into running a little bit, do some races. But yeah, as of now, I've just been working and about to finish my job up. So yeah.
Well, last thing for you then, how do you feel about getting this award as one of the top amateur athletes in Montana? It must be a great honor for you.
Yeah, it's awesome. Like I said before, it's really cool to it's an honor to just be nominated alongside all those other amazing athletes. And yeah, just being able to win is really great. And it's definitely cool to be recognized for the season that happened last year. So yeah, very, very honored and excited about it.
Ben Perrin, Kalispell native and Montana State graduate, joining us here on Nuanez Now. Ben, thanks for being here, man. Good talking to you, and congratulations again.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
From amateur sports in Montana to pro sports in the wide world of basketball, NBA talk on the other side. Don't you dead down. Keep it right here at 102.9 ESPN Missoula.
For 20 years, there's been a sound that's helped define Missoula. A sound as unique as the people who call this place home. The Trail 1033. We're grateful. We're honored. We remain true to the community and true to the music. Tune in for the celebration. Tune in for the party. Tune in for the next 20 years. tires. We can hardly wait.
I can't wait.
The Trail 1033.
Right now at Les Schwab Tires, it's the Best for Less sales event. Save up to $120 instantly on a set of 4 tires. Choose from a wide selection of our longest-lasting, best-performing tires, and every tire is covered by America's best tire warranty. With a 60-day satisfaction guarantee, no hassle road hazard protection, and free maintenance for the life of your tires. It's our best deal on our best tires with the best service in the business. Get more from less.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
A bevy of spring state tournaments get started Thursday across Montana. Hello, I'm Andrew Houghton. The third ever all-class state baseball tournament opens Thursday in Hamilton. With Polson and Florence Carlton, the winners of the first 2 state tournaments, not in the field, there's guaranteed to be a first-time state champion. Belgrade, Billings Skyview, Columbia Falls, and Frenchtown enter as the top seeds from each of the 4 divisions, while hosts Hamilton are looking to break through after placing second a year ago. Class AA softball, which takes place in Great Falls, will have a new champion after last year's winner Helena Capital failed to make the field. Instead, the Bruins' crosstown rival Helena High enters with the best record in the state at 17-2. The Bengals play Bozeman Gallatin in the first round on Thursday, while last year's runner-up Kalispell Glacier plays Billings West, Missoula Sentinel plays Belgrade, and Missoula Big Sky plays Billings Senior. In Class A softball, Columbia Falls is going for a three-peat on its home field. Polson, Laurel, Lewistown, and Frenchtown are the number 1 seeds, and Lewistown enters as the favorite at 19-2 without a loss to a Class A team all season. On the track, the Class AA meet gets started Thursday in Kalispell, while the State BC meet is in Missoula. State BC softball is in Glasgow, while the Class AA tennis tournament is in Bozeman, the Class A is in Billings, and BC is in Missoula.
This ESPN Missoula Sports Center is presented by Canyon River Golf Club. It's Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Missoula. Watch the show statewide on SWX Montana Television.
Welcome back. Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. NBA Talk coming at you. Probably presented by Sportsbet Montana. Last night, first game of the Western Conference Finals, the Timberwolves threw many of the first punches. T-Wolves were up at halftime, 48-44. At that point, Julius Randle had hit 5 three-pointers in 6 attempts. It's probably something that you'll live with if you're the Thunder, because Randall's a lot of things. I love him. He's one of my favorite players, but he is not a three. He can sort of shoot the three, but you're letting him shoot 6 to 8 threes all day. If he's not going to be bullying you on the post and getting to the rim and all that. But they adjusted in the second half, and they really made Minnesota, the Thunder adjusted in the second half. They really made the Timberwolves normally reliable bench players who shoot the three really well. I'm specifically talking about Naz Reid and Dante DiVincenzo. Those two guys went 3 of 19 from three last night. Naz Reid 0 of 7. Woof. Remember once upon a time when he hit 7 or 8 threes in a game against the Lakers? That seemed like a distant memory last night. And it all amounted to Oklahoma City putting the clamps down and Minnesota shooting 51 threes and Oklahoma City running away with the game. They won 114-88. So they easily cover. They easily win. They won the second half 70-40. So that's a straight up old-fashioned beat down. It really is amazing the way that this Oklahoma City team is constructed. I've been really trying to wrap my head around this because they're a 68-win team. That's one of the great marks in the history of the league. They're now in the Western Conference Finals, and they have a commanding lead. I know it's only 1-0, but they looked very, very good last night. And you're sitting here thinking, okay, last year the Thunder were one of the teams that was expected to make a run in the West. They didn't. They ran to the Mavs. Luka Doncic dismantled them. And you're thinking, okay, is that their growing moment? Then they overcome the Nuggets, and you're thinking, okay, did they blossom? Now are they truly, the future champions? And it's just hard to wrap your mind around it because Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he won the MVP today. So if you win the MVP in the NBA, you're affirming yourself as one of the better players of all time in that exact moment. There's not a guy that's won the MVP that isn't, at least in the conversation, as, top 100, top 75, probably even top 50 player in the history of the league. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, though, still has a long ways to go to be considered an all-time great, like one of those truly iconic top 20, top 25 type guys. But he's off to a great start as such a young player. He was great last night with 31 points. It's all to say that if this Thunder team wins the championship, the resume, like if you're looking back at the NBA's history 50 years from now, and this Thunder team wins the championship, you're going to look at this resume and think, that has to be one of the greatest teams of all time, right? They did, they won however many games. By the time they'll be a 84-win team if they win the NBA championship. If they were to win 16 playoff games to get there, 84 total wins, an unbelievable home court record, unbelievable defensive metrics. But then okay, so let's say you're comparing and contrasting some of the best teams in NBA history, the 95-96 Bulls, the great Warriors team that broke that Bulls team's record with 73 regular season wins, a couple of those great Lakers teams in the 80s, and you're like, man, is this team really in the mix with all those teams? And I think the thing that makes you take pause is, one, there's still so much of the story to be written. What will Shai Gilgeous-Alexander become? What will Chet Holmgren become? What will Jalen Williams become? Like, are these guys sustainable? Will they continue to be dominant? I mean, conventional wisdom says yes. If you're this good when you're young, why won't you be this good when you're in your prime? Which none of these guys are of prime age quite yet. But then you also have to realize that I think the thing that sets this Thunder team apart is the complexity and the diversity of the defense that they run. I was thinking about this in the gym this morning. When you're talking about the schematics of defense, which I think a lot of people do not consider whatsoever when you're talking about the NBA, defensive scheme is considered at such a high level in the NFL. What the Thunder do defensively is like being able to run a 4-3 and a 3-4 sort of fluidly and interchangeably, right? They run multiple defensive schemes. That's why they just blitz you. Like if they're just running some stuff and they're getting in and out of it, they're trying some stuff out, they can be down 48-44 at halftime. But then they make the right adjustment. They find the right click here, and then they start running a different schematic thing at you, or they change a certain switch. It's almost like an amoeba matchup zone type thing with the way that they can interchange their personnel and they can interchange their matchups, but there is no real identity for the offense to try to unlock. That's what makes it such a crazy defensive scheme. And then all of a sudden you blink your eye and they're up 15, they're up 20, and then all of a sudden they just ran away with this thing. They won last night by 26 points when they were trailing at halftime. Again, they won the second half by 30. That's crazy. So that's what I'm trying to wrap my head around is when you're talking about this team, you have to analyze them not through the lens of who's their best player and is that guy an all-time great, because it's so still to be determined with SGA. Who's their coach? Is he an all-time great? No, it's still TBD with Mark Daigneault. You have to analyze this team through their prowess, their diversity, and their ferocity defensively. That's the thing that makes if this team wins the championship, that's the thing that's going to make like if you were saying what made that Thunder team great and why is that Thunder team deserve to be in the conversation with some of the better teams that the league has seen, it's because of the ferocity and diversity of their defensive scheme. I don't really know if they have a comparison. Ryan Russillo was saying that maybe it's the late 80s Pistons, but those teams were less diverse. The ferocity is true. The way that they can turn you on your head defensively, the way that they're winning they won with defense is true. But that team had enforcers. Bill Laimbeer and Chet Holmgren are not the same. Holmgren is a freak. He's a freak athlete who's a freak defensive player. He's not sending you into the stands like Rick Mahorn and Bill Laimbeer were. He's just guarding you on the perimeter and trailing you baseline and then blocking your shot from the backside. He had this one last night where he did exactly what I just described. And you're like, how do you even do that? Who can do that is the question. And really, it's him, and that's it. And that's the thing that unlocks them so much. Andrew, what do you think about this? I know that we're way ahead, cart before the horse, because they still have to win the Western Conference Finals, and they still have to win the finals. But I'm just trying to wrap my mind around this part of the narrative, because they looked really good last night. And when you're watching them, it's different than watching a lot of other teams that have sort of similar prowess in their resumes, at least to this point.
Yeah, last night was pretty much everything that I expected it to be when we were talking about this series before Game 1. Not surprised to see that from the Thunder. For me, Coulter, why don't you compare this team to the 90s Bulls on defense? I'm not comparing SGA to Michael Jordan, but
they switch it up so much, though. That team would just man you up and say, we're tougher than you. We got Jordan, we got Pippen, we got Rodman, bring it, right?
Well, so with the Pistons. The Pistons weren't switching and toggling between all these different kinds of defensive schemes. I think that, man, talking so much about their schemes on defense is sort of taken away from their personnel. I don't think the NFL comparison is between like the team that toggles between the 3-4, the 4-3. You don't get a lot of teams that do that in the league, but I just think you got to talk about their personnel, and they remind me a little bit of the Pete Carroll Seahawks in that way, where they just got a bunch of really, really long guys, and they make life really uncomfortable, and sort of like those teams did on defense, they sort of dare the refs to deal with their physicality a lot. The line about those Richard Sherman teams was right. They're going to be holding on every play, right, and they're going to force you to call it. OKC also rides right up to that line of physicality and play on defense, right? So it reminds me of that a lot, and they just have like long, physical, tough guys. I mean, Caruso and Lou Dort and Cason Wallace, you know all the names, right? But what it does is it really almost like if this is enough, that's the third comparison I'm going to make in this segment here, almost reminds you of the Montana State women's team from this last year, not in terms of what they're doing schematically on defense, but just in terms of how they warp the parameters of the game, right? I mean, in the NBA, you're used to being able to just make a crossover dribble out front. You're used to being able to back down in the post and back down your defender with the dribble, right? You can't do that with OKC because they're always swiping at the ball. When you're trying to post them up, they always have a guy digging down to take that ball. They got, 6-7 steals off that last night.
Right.
It's just like it's completely different from a lot of what you get in the NBA, certainly in the NBA regular season, but nobody's doing it like them.
Well, Caruso is just... like, what even is this? Who? I don't want to be prisoner of the moment and over exaggerate this, but truly, who has guarded Ja Morant, Nikola Jokic, and Julius Randle in 3 straight matchups, like in game, right? You know what I mean? Like, he just went back-to-back games shutting down Jokic, and then last night, the reason that they shut down Randle was they switched Caruso onto him. He's a guard. How can he possibly be doing this?
And he's taking turns on Ann Edwards, too, and putting him in the torture chamber.
He was. It was unbelievable. We got to take one more break. We'll come back. We'll talk some more NBA. Don't change that dial. Keep it right here. NBA Talk, presented by Sportsbet Montana. Right after this.
For 20 years, there's been a sound that's helped define Missoula. A sound as unique as the people who call this place home. The Trail 1033. We're grateful. We're honored. We remain true to the community and true to the music. Tune in for the celebration. Tune in for the party. Tune in for the next 20 years. We can hardly wait.
I can't wait.
The Trail 1033.
What are you drinking?
I think I'll have a 56.
56 Counties American Light Lager, a beer for Montanans and friends of Montanans.
In the Treasure State, University of Montana football is a way of life. Lithia Ford has long been a proud sponsor of Grizz football, and Lithia Ford of Missoula is thrilled to have several of the best Montana football seniors driving the best trucks in Montana. Aspen Sound is the premier car audio and accessory shop in Montana. Aspen Sound makes sure the boys are riding in style with tinted windows and state-of-the-art stereo systems. There's always a party in Montana. Whether you're going to a concert, a wedding, or a football game, the Montana Party Bus will get you there. Skyline Sports and ESPN MT cover the big sky with more depth than anyone. Check out SkylineSportsMT.com and tune in to Nuanez Now on 1029 ESPN Missoula every day. My Montana Roots and Wear Your Roots clothing is your go-to spot for the most unique and comfortable lifestyle clothing you'll find anywhere. And get your custom t-shirts to support your favorite player. From 5 local businesses who love Montana, best of luck to the Grizz as they pursue another Big Sky Conference championship.
Access to Montana's great backyard is the best part of being a Grizzly. At the University of Montana, our classrooms are the mountain peaks, river valleys, and never-ending plains of the Big Sky country. We provide students with the hands-on training to protect and enjoy hunting, conservation, and stewardship. launches the careers of outdoor leaders so that they can protect our traditions and ensure they are passed down for future generations. Because what's made in Montana is remaking the world.
At the Stone of Accord, our liquor store has an extensive selection of Irish whiskeys, wine, and local spirits. We also have exciting events daily, and our complimentary beverages are always served with a smile. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair, restaurant, liquor store, and casino. Bring the whole family to the Stone of Accord for a wonderful brunch. From traditional comfort food to eclectic specials, there's something for everyone to enjoy. And it wouldn't be a proper Missoula brunch without an Irish coffee and a mimosa. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair, restaurant, liquor store.
This is Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Radio Missoula.
My brother sit me right down and he talked to me. He told me that I ought not to let you just walk on me. And I'm sure he
Welcome back. Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio. You missed the show, you can find it on the podcast, probably presented by Elevated Tax. Visit elevatedtax.com to find out how to save money on your taxes. Breaking news, Indianapolis Colts owner Jim Irsay passed away last night. He is dead at the age of 65, so unsure what that means for that franchise. Irsay was certainly a both beloved and polarizing figure, a guy that had a lot of personal problems but had seemed to overcome them, but 65, it's pretty young. So happy trails to Jim Irsay. We will roll right into Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals between the Knicks and the Pacers. Andrew, I guess give me one thought on why Indiana might be able to make this a game and or win this game tonight. Knicks are 4.5-point favorites and should be rocking in the Garden tonight. I think the matchups in this series favor New York slightly, but I think this has a chance to be a hell of a series. But I do think New York wins Game 1. What say you?
Well, I don't think in Indiana's favor that they're going to be scared of Madison Square Garden tonight. I also think that, just like we were talking about with the Oklahoma City Thunder, they're a difficult team to prepare for because of how they like to get up and down the floor and how masterfully Tyrese Halliburton sort of commands that chaos. So I am also taking the Knicks tonight, but you did ask for the devil's advocate point for Indiana.
Yep, definitely. We'll see how much of the the past haunts this series. I don't think it's going to affect the players whatsoever, but it is going to affect the narratives, the storylines, and into the old school fans. I mean, I'm certain that Spike Lee remembers when Reggie Miller scored 8 points in 9 seconds to win in the Garden. That's one of the most iconic moments in the history of the NBA playoffs. So, I mean, there's been some battles. I mean, shoot, they made an entire documentary about Reggie Miller basically haunting and trolling the New York Knicks. So it runs deep. Certainly the old school fans will remember. We'll have plenty of NBA talk for you tomorrow. We're also going to hear from Tom McMahon. He's a Helena, Montana product who has been in the NFL for 30 years as a coach. He's one of our inductees in the Montana Football Hall of Fame. That plus much more on Nuanez Now. We'll see you then. ESPN Radio.
Grizzly Disposal is proud to be a locally owned and operated business in Montana. They don't offer any gimmick.